It was an ordinary day on Earth. People went about their business, oblivious to what was about to happen. In the sky, the stars twinkled as usual, giving no hint that something extraordinary was approaching. But deep in space, hidden by the vastness of the universe, an alien fleet was on its way to Earth. No one knew who they were or what they wanted, but they were coming, and they were coming fast. The first sign of danger came when Earth's satellites picked up strange movements in space. At first, they thought it was just a malfunction, perhaps a comet or an asteroid. But as the minutes passed, the signals grew clearer and more alarming. The fleet was massive, larger than anything humanity had ever seen. Thousands of ships, each one bristling with weapons and strange technology, appeared in Earth's orbit. World leaders scrambled to understand what was happening. Was this a first contact situation, or was Earth under attack? The United Nations called an emergency meeting and the world's military forces were put on high alert, but the fear was palpable. No one knew what to expect from the aliens and no one knew how to defend the planet. Captain Mark Weston, a respected leader in the United Earth Fleet, stood in front of a giant digital screen showing the alien fleet approaching Earth. His hands gripped the edge of the table, his mind racing. He was known for his calm demeanor and quick thinking, but even he was struggling to find a solution. Earth had prepared for many things: asteroid impacts, global warming, even wars with other nations, but never an alien invasion. "Where are they from?" a voice asked from behind him. It was Admiral Sarah O'Connor, his right-hand officer, and one of the sharpest minds in the fleet. "We don't know," Captain Weston replied, his voice tense. "The aliens haven't sent any communications. They've just appeared." "This doesn't look like a friendly visit," Admiral O'Connor said, her eyes scanning the screen, where the alien ships loomed large. They didn't have any markings, no indication of their origin, and no sign of any peaceful intentions. Their ships were sleek and enormous, dwarfing Earth's own fleet of warships. "Do you think they're going to attack?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm afraid we don't have a choice but to assume the worst," Weston said, trying to mask the unease in his voice. He turned to his team. "Prepare all ships for combat. We don't know what these aliens are capable of, but we need to be ready." As the human forces scrambled to mobilize, the alien fleet made its move. Without any warning, hundreds of ships began to move toward Earth. The first thing the humans noticed was the speed of their advance. They were faster than any ship Earth had ever built. It was clear the aliens were not here for peaceful negotiations. In mere hours, Earth's military was in full mobilization. Jet fighters, battleships, and warships were launched into the skies now crowded with human ships preparing to defend their home. The world's cities and major population centers were on high alert. People rushed to shelters, unsure of what would come next. Was this the end of humanity? The question lingered in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Back at the United Earth Fleet Command Center, Captain Weston's face was set with determination. He knew that humanity's survival depended on how they responded. There was no room for error. The alien fleet had the upper hand in terms of size and firepower, but humans had something the aliens did not: creativity, ingenuity, and the will to fight. "Are we ready?" Weston asked his officers. "We're ready," O'Connor replied, her voice steady. "But we need to be smart. If we rush in without a plan, we'll be wiped out. The aliens are too powerful." Captain Weston nodded. "You're right. We need to buy time. We need to confuse them, distract them." "What do you have in mind?" O'Connor asked. "We're going to play the long game," Weston said. "We'll use the asteroid belt to our advantage. If we can force the aliens to chase us into the belt, their ships will be slower, and we can pick them off one by one." It was a risky plan. The asteroid belt was a dangerous place, filled with massive rocks that could destroy any ship that wasn't careful. But it was the best option they had. And if there was one thing Weston knew, It was that humanity had always survived by making the impossible possible. "Let's move," Weston ordered. "We'll use every advantage we can." The human ships slowly retreated, drawing the aliens into the depths of space toward the asteroid belt. The humans hoped the alien fleet would follow, thinking they could destroy them easily. But what the aliens didn't know was that the humans had set a trap. As the alien ships approached the belt, the human fleet split up, using the asteroids as cover. They launched quick, precise strikes against the larger alien vessels, knowing they couldn't take them on directly. Meanwhile, Earth scientists worked around the clock to find a way to disrupt the alien technology. They had learned one thing from the brief scan of the alien ships. They were advanced, but they still relied on energy systems similar to Earth's. If they could find a way to overload their power sources, they could weaken the alien fleet. As the first battle began in space, the humans proved that they were not going to go down without a fight. The alien fleet was caught off guard by the guerrilla tactics, and for the first time the aliens seemed uncertain. It was a small victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. Back on Earth, the people watched with bated breath as the war in space unfolded. The world was united in a way it had never been before. Political differences were set aside, and humanity worked together as one, fighting for survival. The battle had only just begun, but the first signs of hope were beginning to appear. Humans had made their stand. The alien fleet had arrived with overwhelming power, but they had underestimated one thing: human resilience. And now the fight for Earth had truly begun. The first day of the alien assault was over, and Earth's defenses were still standing. It wasn't much, but it was enough to show that the humans weren't giving up. The alien ships had been forced into retreat after a series of small but effective attacks, and the skies over Earth were once again quiet. For the first time since the alien fleet appeared, there was hope. Back at the United Earth Fleet Command Center, Captain Mark Weston stared at the holographic map of the solar system. The alien ships were still scattered around Earth, lingering just beyond the atmosphere. It was a temporary retreat, not a defeat. The aliens weren't going to stop, not after they had come this far. "We can't keep running forever," Weston said, his voice steady but filled with concern. He turned to his officers. "We need to push back." "We've lost most of our smaller ships," Admiral O'Connor replied, pointing to the map. "The remaining forces are scattered. We've only got a handful of ships left that are capable of fighting." "Then we'll fight with what we have," Weston said, his eyes narrowing. "We have no other choice." The humans' strategy was clear. They would use the asteroid belt as cover to outmaneuver the alien fleet. But this time, they would not be retreating. The humans had learned enough about their enemy to know that the aliens were strong, but they were not invincible. Their massive ships could overpower Earth's forces in open combat, but they were not prepared for the guerrilla tactics the humans had mastered. "Time to turn the tables," Weston said, determination burning in his eyes. "Let's lead them into the belt. We'll use the asteroids as our shield." The fleet moved out of Earth's atmosphere, heading toward the asteroid belt that stretched between Mars and Jupiter. The small fleet of human ships, heavily damaged but still functional, scattered across the area. They moved quickly, using every bit of technology and every ounce of strategy they had to stay hidden from the alien fleet. The asteroids gave them perfect cover, with thousands of them scattered through space. The alien fleet, unaware of the trap the humans were setting, began to follow the humans' trail, eager to finish what they had started. They had underestimated humanity's will to survive, and now they were walking right into Earth's hands. "We're ready to begin," Admiral O'Connor said, her fingers typing quickly on the control panel in front of her. "We'll need to be fast. The moment they enter the belt, we need to strike." "Agreed," Weston said. "We'll use the belt to keep their sensors off balance. As long as we stay unpredictable, we'll have the edge." Earth's fleet moved deeper into the belt, the hulking alien ships slowly closing in. The tension in the air was thick. Every moment felt like it could be their last, but the humans refused to give in. They had no choice but to fight. As the dang alien ships entered the asteroid belt, the humans launched their first attack. Using quick bursts of speed, they darted between the asteroids, making it difficult for the aliens to track them. The humans were faster, more agile, and their ships had been designed with unpredictability in mind. They launched hit-and-run attacks, firing small but powerful shots at the alien ships before disappearing into the dense asteroid field. The aliens were confused. They were powerful, but they were not used to this kind of combat. Their sensors struggled to lock onto the smaller human ships, and their advanced weaponry was less effective when they couldn't focus on a target. Every time they thought they had caught a human ship, it vanished, only to reappear from another angle. "This is madness," one of the alien commanders growled in frustration. He had never seen an enemy that fought like this before. The humans weren't following any kind of pattern. They were using the environment to their advantage, hiding behind asteroids, slipping in and out of sight, and attacking at unexpected moments. The alien fleet was big, but it was slow, and now it was starting to show. "We need to adapt," the commander ordered. "We cannot allow them to keep doing this. Move the fleet into a tighter formation. We'll catch them in the crossfire." But the humans were ready for this. They had anticipated that the aliens would try to group up to counter their attacks. As the alien ships moved closer together, Captain Weston gave the order to change tactics. "Prepare to use the EMPs," he said. "This will be our biggest move yet." "Are you sure?" O'Connor asked. "We don't know if the aliens will be affected by them." "It's a risk we have to take," Weston replied. "We need to disable their weapons, even if it's just for a few moments." The humans launched their electromagnetic pulses, sending shock waves through space. The pulses spread outward, temporarily shutting down the alien ship's advanced systems. For a few seconds, the alien fleet was vulnerable. Their weapons went offline and their shields flickered. "That's our window," Weston shouted. "Hit them with everything we have." The human fleet fired everything they had: laser, cannons, plasma bursts, and rocket missiles. The shots hit the alien ships with precision, targeting weak points and causing damage. The aliens fought back, but the humans were already one step ahead. The EMPs had disrupted their ability to fight back effectively. The battle raged on for hours. The alien fleet, once confident in their superior firepower, was now reeling from the humans' relentless attacks. They had underestimated Earth's ability to fight. They had thought the humans would give up quickly, that they would be weak and easy to defeat. But instead, they found themselves in a fight for their lives. Captain Weston watched the battle unfold from his command ship, his hands tight on the controls. The human fleet was holding its ground. They weren't winning yet, but they were proving that they could survive. "Captain, we're making progress," O'Connor said, her voice filled with a rare note of hope. "The aliens are starting to retreat." Weston didn't smile. He knew that the battle wasn't over yet. The alien fleet was retreating, but it wouldn't be long before they regrouped and came back with a vengeance. They had to be ready for the next wave. "We've shown them that we can fight," Weston said. "But this is only the beginning. We've bought ourselves time, but we need to use it wisely." As the alien fleet pulled back, the humans knew. They had won a small but important victory. The battle was far from over, but humanity had proven one thing: they weren't going to go down without a fight. The days following the first battle were tense. The alien fleet had been forced to retreat, but it wasn't a victory yet. The humans had only won a small battle in a much bigger war. The alien fleet was still out there, waiting, and it was only a matter of time before they came back stronger than before. Earth's military leaders knew that they needed something more, something that would give humanity a real advantage. In a hidden underground lab, a team of Earth's top scientists and engineers were working around the clock on a new weapon. The world had watched the humans' first fight with awe, but the truth was clear. Earth's fleet wasn't powerful enough to stand up to the alien fleet for long. The humans needed a game changer. "We need something the aliens won't expect," said Dr. Elena Harris, one of the leading scientists working on the project. "They've got the firepower, but we have something they don't have, the element of surprise." The humans had been working on developing advanced technologies for years, but nothing had been quite like this. Dr. Harris and her team had been focused on creating a weapon that could disable alien ships without directly attacking them. The idea was to disrupt the alien ship's systems, making them powerless, but without causing any damage to the ships themselves. "Is it ready?" Captain Weston asked, his voice serious but full of hope. He had seen the aliens' power firsthand, and he knew that Earth's survival depended on this new weapon working. The pressure was on. "It's ready," Dr. Harris said, her voice filled with a quiet sense of pride. "We've developed an electromagnetic pulse with a much higher frequency than anything we've ever tested. It's capable of disabling the alien fleet systems without damaging their ships. If we use it correctly, we can stop them in their tracks." Weston nodded. "Let's see it in action." The team of engineers set up the pulse generator on a large transport ship, preparing to test it on a smaller alien vessel that had been captured during the last battle. The alien ship, damaged but still intact, was brought into the testing area, and the generator was aimed directly at it. "Ready, Captain," Dr. Harris said, standing by the control panel. "The pulse is set to release in 3, 2, 1. A bright flash filled the room as the electromagnetic pulse was released. The alien ship shuddered, its systems flickering. The lights inside the ship went out, and its energy shields dropped. The ship was now completely powerless, its weapons and engines disabled. "We did it," Dr. Harris said, a wide grin spreading across her face. "The weapon works. The alien ship is dead in space." Weston allowed himself a small smile. This was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. It wasn't a bomb or a superweapon. It was a tool of control, one that could turn the tide of the war. The humans wasted no time in deploying the new weapon. The next day, they sent a small team of ships into space, ready to face the alien fleet again. The alien ships were still circling Earth, as if waiting for the right moment to strike. They hadn't yet realized that their previous victory had only been a small setback. The humans were preparing to fight back, and this time they had the big advantage. Captain Weston's fleet moved cautiously, staying close to the asteroid belt for cover. They had learned from the first battle that speed and agility were their best weapons, but now they had something more: the ability to disable the alien fleet from afar. As the humans' ships approached the alien fleet, they could see the massive ships hovering in space, their weapons aimed at Earth. The tension in the air was thick. Would the new weapon work, or would the aliens find a way to adapt and destroy them? "We're in position," O'Connor said over the radio. "The EMP is ready." "Wait for my signal," Weston replied. "We don't attack until we're sure they're in range. We don't want to miss this." The alien ships hadn't noticed the human fleet yet. The humans kept their distance, hoping to get the element of surprise once more. The alien ships were larger, but the humans were faster. They had learned from the last battle how to use their agility to stay out of the aliens' sights. Then, as the alien fleet began to spread out, one of the ships made a mistake. It moved too far from the rest of the fleet, giving the humans a chance to strike. Weston's heart raced as he gave the order. "Now!" The electromagnetic pulse was released. A wave of energy shot out from the human ships and headed straight for the alien vessel. The pulse hit its target, and for a moment nothing happened. But then, the alien ship's systems began to flicker and sputter. Its weapons went offline, and its engines stalled. It was helpless. The alien fleet, now realizing that something was wrong, turned to defend their ship. But it was too late. The human ships were already in position, launching precise attacks on the other alien vessels. The EMP had done its job, and the aliens were struggling to fight back. "This is it," O'Connor said, her voice full of excitement. "We've got them." The alien fleet, disoriented and unable to launch an effective counterattack, began to retreat. One by one, their ships fell into chaos, with many of them losing power and drifting helplessly in space. The humans kept up the pressure, launching more EMPs and keeping the aliens at bay. It wasn't a complete victory, but it was a huge step forward. The aliens had underestimated the humans. They had thought that their superior technology and firepower would be enough to crush Earth, but they hadn't counted on human ingenuity and resourcefulness. Captain Weston watched as the alien fleet slowly began to pull back. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, the humans were fighting on equal ground. The aliens had thought they were the dominant force in the galaxy, but humanity had just proven them wrong. Weston allowed himself a moment of relief, but it was brief. There was still much work to be done, and the alien fleet would not give up easily. But one thing was clear. Humanity had shown that they could fight, and they could win. The battle had taken a new turn, and the humans were no longer retreating. They had given the alien fleet a powerful lesson in resilience, and now the enemy was on the defensive. But Captain Mark Weston knew that this victory, while important, was only temporary. The alien fleet, though shaken, was still a formidable force. They would adapt, and the war was far from over. "Captain, we've hit them hard," Admiral O'Connor said, her voice filled with hope. "Their fleet is in disarray, and they're pulling back. But we can't let up now. We have to finish this while we have the chance." Weston nodded. He had seen what the aliens were capable of, and he knew they wouldn't stay down for long. "We'll strike while they're disoriented," he said. "Prepare the EMPs for another round. We need to make sure we've crippled their fleet completely." The humans had learned much in the past few days. The EMP weapon was their greatest advantage, but it was still limited. They couldn't afford to rely on it alone. Captain Weston had another plan in mind, a more direct approach, one that would force the alien fleet to retreat for good. "Admiral, I need you to take a team of our best pilots and lead a diversionary attack," Weston said, turning to O'Connor. "We'll move in quickly, disable their remaining ships, and force them to regroup." "We're ready, Captain," O'Connor replied, her face set with determination. "We'll take the fight to them." The plan was set into motion immediately. The human fleet, now operating with more confidence, began to move in on the alien forces. They were still scattered, their communication systems still disjointed from the EMPs, and now was the time to strike. Weston's fleet moved quickly, taking advantage of the enemy's confusion. As the human ships closed in on the alien fleet, the atmosphere inside the command center was tense. The teams were ready. Each pilot knew that their mission was critical, and failure was not an option. The human fleet wasn't large, but they had learned how to fight with limited numbers, and they knew that even one well-placed strike could turn the tide of the battle. The alien fleet, still recovering from the previous attack, was not expecting such a bold move. Their ships were powerful, but they were not prepared for the speed and agility of the humans. Weston's ships darted between asteroids, using the belt's cover to stay out of sight and avoid alien sensors. "Captain, we've got them in our sights," one of the pilots said over the radio. "The aliens are scattered, and they're trying to regroup. It's now or never." "Take the shot," Weston replied, his voice steady. "We need to push them back once and for all." The first wave of human ships launched their attack, focusing on the alien ships that had strayed too far from the rest of the fleet. The human ships moved quickly, using their superior speed to their advantage. They hit the aliens with precise strikes, disabling weapons and engines with well-placed shots. The aliens, caught off guard by the sudden offensive, tried to retaliate. But the humans were ready. The EMPs were launched, disrupting the alien ship's systems once again. For a brief moment, the alien fleet was once again powerless, their shields flickering and their weapons offline. "This is it," O'Connor shouted over the radio. "We've got them!" But just as the human fleet thought they had the upper hand, the alien commander made a surprising move. The remaining ships in the fleet began to regroup, moving together in a tight formation. It was clear that the alien commander had finally realized that brute force wouldn't win this battle. Instead, he was going to fight with strategy. "Admiral, they're reorganizing," Weston said, his voice tense. "We can't let them get back into position. We need to push them harder." The human ships, now more confident but facing a new challenge, responded with determination. O'Connor led the charge, ordering her pilots to use every ounce of speed and skill they had. The humans were faster and more agile, and they used that advantage to keep the pressure on the regrouping alien ships. As the battle raged on, Weston watched the alien fleet carefully. They were clearly trying to form a defensive line, but they had underestimated the humans' ability to adapt. The human fleet was relentless, moving in unpredictable patterns, striking where the aliens least expected it. "We've got them on the ropes," O'Connor said, her voice filled with excitement. "The alien fleet is starting to break apart." But even as the humans gained the upper hand, Weston knew that the alien fleet was not defeated yet. The aliens still had powerful weapons and advanced technology at their disposal. They could still turn the tide of the battle if the humans weren't careful. "Admiral, don't get careless," Weston warned. "We've come too far to let them. Get away now!" The alien fleet, while disorganized, was still dangerous. The humans had made progress, but the war was far from over. Weston knew that they needed to end it soon, before the aliens could regroup and launch another attack. As the alien fleet began to break apart, the human pilots pressed on, relentlessly attacking the remaining alien ships. It was a battle of attrition. But the humans were winning. The aliens, once so sure of their superiority, were now struggling to keep up with the humans' tactics. Then, as if in a final act of desperation, the alien commander made one last attempt to turn the tide. He ordered his remaining ships to focus on Earth itself, hoping to strike at the heart of humanity's defenses. The alien ships moved toward Earth, weapons charged and ready to fire. "Captain, they're coming for Earth," O'Connor said, her voice filled with urgency. "We can't let them reach the planet." Weston knew that this was the moment. The humans had no choice but to fight with everything they had. "All ships, full speed ahead," he ordered. "We're not going to let them destroy our world." The human ships moved with incredible speed, charging straight at the alien fleet. The battle was now a race against time. The humans had only one chance to stop the aliens before they could reach Earth. As the two fleets collided, the sky above Earth became a battleground. Explosions lit up the dark expanse of space as the humans and aliens fought for control. The humans, using their superior agility and their newfound weaponry, were able to stop the alien advance. After hours of fierce fighting, the alien fleet was finally forced to retreat. Their commander, realizing that they had been outsmarted and outmatched, gave the order to fall back. The humans had done it. They had stopped the alien invasion, at least for now. But Captain Weston knew that the war wasn't over. The alien fleet might have retreated, but they would be back. Earth had survived, but humanity's fight for survival was far from over. The battle in space had been long and exhausting. It felt as though the humans had been fighting for days without rest. The alien fleet, though retreating, wasn't giving up without a final attempt. But humanity, armed with their cunning and determination, had struck back with everything they had, and now, after hours of intense combat, the alien ships were finally withdrawing. Captain Mark Weston stood on the command deck, his hands firmly gripping the edge of the console as he watched, the alien fleet retreating into the depths of space. The once feared alien invaders, who had come with overwhelming force, were now turning tail and running. It was a victory, but not one that left room for celebration. They had only just begun to turn the tide. There was still so much work to be done. "We did it, Captain," Admiral O'Connor said, her voice tired but proud. She turned from the holographic battle map, her eyes filled with relief. The aliens are retreating. Their ships are damaged. We've stopped them. Weston took a deep breath, allowing the weight of the moment to sink in. We've won a battle, O'Connor, but the war is far from over. The retreat of the alien fleet did not mean the end of the threat. Humanity had won an important victory, but there was still much they didn't know about the alien forces. Were they truly retreating, or were they simply regrouping for a larger attack? The humans had only gained a temporary advantage, but for now, that was enough. Set a course for Earth, Weston ordered. Let's get our ships home. The journey back to Earth was slow. The human fleet, though battered and bruised, was in high spirits. Their courage and ingenuity had carried them through, and now Earth was safe, at least for the moment. As the ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the excitement among the crews was palpable. The humans had not only survived the alien assault, but they had also struck back with unexpected strength. The world below was watching, waiting for word of the outcome. Humanity had faced its first true test of survival, and they had passed it. The moment the fleet arrived back on Earth, Weston received a message from the United Nations. The leaders of the world were waiting to meet with him and the other commanders to discuss the next steps. In the meeting room, Weston stood with his officers as world leaders filled the seats around the table. The atmosphere was tense. The alien threat had not been fully neutralized. It was clear that Earth needed to prepare for what was to come. The humans of Earth have fought bravely and well, Weston said, addressing the group. But we cannot be complacent. The alien fleet may be retreating now, but that does not mean they are gone for good. We need to prepare for the next attack. One of the world leaders, a representative from Europe, stood and addressed Weston. How long do we have before they regroup and come back for another attack? He asked, his voice filled with concern. Weston hesitated for a moment before responding. We don't know, he said frankly. The alien fleet is powerful, and they've only been temporarily disabled. They could regroup in a matter of weeks or months. But what we do know is that they are not invincible. We've shown them that we can fight, and we've proven that they are not as unstoppable as they thought. Another leader, this time from Asia, nodded in agreement. What steps do you suggest we take to prepare for the next attack? He asked. We need to continue to improve our weapons, Weston said. We've learned a lot about the alien ships and their weaknesses. Our EMP weapon was effective, but we need to refine it further. We also need to continue developing more advanced defense systems, and we need to improve our fleet's technology. O'Connor added, We've also learned that the aliens are vulnerable when they're caught off guard. Our guerrilla tactics and ability to hide among the asteroids were effective, and we should continue to develop that strategy. Speed, agility, and unpredictability will be our greatest weapons. The room fell silent as the leaders absorbed Weston and O'Connor's words. They knew that the path ahead would not be easy, but they also knew that humanity had proven something important. They were not going to go down without a fight. Weston looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each leader. The human spirit is strong. We have shown that we can survive, that we can win. But we must remain united. Our strength is not just in our weapons or our ships, but in our people. If we stand together, we can face anything. The leaders nodded in agreement. The alien threat was far from over, but humanity had made it clear. They were not going to let anyone take their world without a fight. Back on Earth, life slowly began to return to normal. The cities that had once been in chaos were now rebuilding, and people were starting to feel a sense of hope again. The war was not over, but the defeat of the alien fleet had given them a chance to breathe. For the first time in a long while, humanity could look to the future without fear of immediate destruction. The human fleet, though worn and scarred from battle, had become a symbol of human resilience. The crews of the ships returned home as heroes, their courage and sacrifice honored by the world. But even as they celebrated their victory, They knew that there was still much work to be done. Captain Weston sat alone in his quarters, staring out of the window at the stars. The battle was over for now, but the war was still waiting. And as much as he longed for peace, he knew that humanity's survival depended on their ability to adapt, to fight, and to never give up. "We've shown them that we won't back down," he whispered to himself, "and as long as we stand together, we'll win this war." It was a message of hope, one that resonated across the earth. The alien fleet might have thought they could conquer humanity, but they had underestimated the strength of the human will. The war was not over, but the aliens now knew one thing: humanity was not going to surrender.